Have you ever stopped to consider the real cost of your intimate choices? The truth is, you're being deceived by a collective illusion about what truly ignites the fire in the bedroom. And while you chase the mirage of youth, you're missing out on the feast happening at the table of the initiated. Listen closely, because I'm about to reveal something the desire industry doesn't want you to know. That narrative, that young women are the pinnacle of passion and sexual adventure, is one of the biggest psychological frauds of our time. You've been programmed to believe that youthful energy automatically translates into intensity in bed, but the real mechanics of feminine wildness operate on completely different frequencies. It's like comparing the noise of a jackhammer to the precision of a surgical scalpel. Both cut, but only one knows exactly where and how to get the job done. Authentic wildness isn't born from adolescent impulsiveness or a desperate need to impress. It emerges when a woman finally breaks free from the invisible prison of external validation. Think of it as the difference between an amateur fighter who expends all their energy in the first rounds and a veteran who knows exactly when and how to land each blow. The less she needs your approval, the more she can surrender to the moment. The less she fears judgment, the more she explores the forbidden territories of pleasure. I will now name the patterns you need to recognize, because to name is to master. First, the late liberation protocol. Women who have spent decades following social scripts finally break free around 40. Marina, a 43-year-old executive, confessed that only after her divorce did she discover she had lived 3 decades performing what others thought she should be in bed. Now she commands the show without asking permission. Second pattern, the broken mirror syndrome. Young women still see their worth through the reflection in men's eyes. Every move calculated to impress, every moan calibrated to validate. Mature women have shattered that mirror. They know exactly what excites them and aren't ashamed to ask, demand, command. You might find this intimidating. That's because you've been trained to be the sole protagonist of the story. Third, the cumulative effect of experience. I'm not talking about the number of partners. I'm talking about the depth of self-knowledge. A 45-year-old woman has had 2 more decades to map her own body, understand her triggers, and master her sexual response. It's like comparing someone who just got their driver's license with a Formula One racer. Both drive, but only one knows every curve of the track. Fourth pattern, scarcity inversion. Young women operate from a mindset of superficial abundance. They have dozens of suitors in line, so they treat each interaction as disposable. Mature women understand the scarcity of real connection. When they choose you, it's a conscious choice, not a validation test. And when a woman chooses consciously, she invests completely. Fifth, the security paradox. Young women confuse insecurity with mystery. They think hiding their needs makes them more desirable. Experienced women know that strategic vulnerability is power. They tell you exactly what they want, how they want it, when they want it. This isn't a lack of romance, it's emotional mastery. Let me tell you about Andre, a 35-year-old engineer who always dated women in their 20s. He came to me exhausted, complaining that he always had to lead everything, from conversation to sex. It was like being the only adult in the room, constantly entertaining and validating. Then he met Helena, 42, divorced, a co-worker. On their first date, she made it clear what she was looking for. No games, no ambiguous messages, no childish tests. In bed, she didn't wait for him to guess her desires. She showed, guided, commanded when necessary. Andre discovered he didn't have to be the director all the time. For the first time, he could simply be. The sixth pattern you need to understand is the internal clock phenomenon. Young women still operate on the clock of social validation. Every action is calculated for Instagram, every intimate moment interrupted by the need to check their phone. Mature women have turned off that clock. They inhabit the present with an intensity you won't find in those who still live for digital approval. Seventh, the conquered territory dynamic. A woman who has already passed through traditional social milestones like marriage, children, and divorce has nothing left to prove. She isn't using sex as currency to secure commitment. She isn't measuring her worth by your reaction. This frees her to explore pleasure as an end in itself, not as a means to an objective. Eighth pattern, the principle of direct communication. While young women still speak in codes and expect you to be telepathic, experienced women have developed the clear language of desire. They don't have time for ambiguities. If something isn't working, they say so. If something is incredible, they ask for more. You might find this less romantic, but it's infinitely more satisfying. Carlos, a 48-year-old entrepreneur, divorced at 45. After a sabbatical period of self-discovery, he got back in the game. But instead of looking for trophies to display, he sought women who challenged him intellectually. He met a 50-year-old university professor at a conference. Their conversation flowed for hours about philosophy, business, and art. When they finally went to bed, the same depth translated into intimacy. She had no taboos, no shame, no scripts. Each encounter was a mutual exploration without an instruction manual. Now I will expose the mistakes you repeatedly make that sabotage your chances of experiencing this dimension. First fatal mistake. You still believe that material resources compensate for a lack of presence. You show up in your imported car, thinking that generates desire. Mature women have seen that performance 1,000 times. They want your full attention, not your credit card. Second mistake, you avoid vulnerability as if it were poison. You maintain the mask of the invulnerable male because you're afraid to appear weak. But controlled vulnerability is what separates boys from men. When you admit to and overcome insecurity, you show you have the courage to face your demons. This is infinitely more attractive than feigning perfection. Third mistake that keeps you trapped in superficiality. You lack clarity about your own intentions. You enter each interaction without knowing if you want connection, adventure, a relationship, or validation. Experienced women detect this confusion instantly. They don't have time to be your therapist or your experimental guinea pig. Fourth mistake, you generalize past experiences. You assume that every woman over 40 comes with heavy baggage, or that every young woman is superficial. Each person is a unique universe. When you project your expectations, you lose the chance to discover who is truly in front of you. Fifth critical mistake, you seek external validation at all costs. You mold your personality to be accepted, adapting like a chameleon to her desires. Mature women despise this lack of backbone. They want a man with his own opinions, clear boundaries, and a solid identity. I will now reveal the exact protocol for you to access this dimension. First step, take a brutal inventory of your real desires. Not what you think you should want, but what truly moves you. List 5 qualities you value beyond appearance. If you can't think of 5, you have inner work to do. Second step of the protocol, develop a personal project that gives you purpose beyond women. It could be a business, an art, a sport, anything that makes you wake up in the morning with fire in your eyes. Mature women are attracted to men with their own direction, not satellites orbiting around them. Third step, learn body language as if your life depended on it. Observe micro-expressions, posture shifts, variations in tone of voice. Experienced women communicate more with the unsaid than with words. If you can't read these signals, you're operating in the dark. Fourth fundamental step, practice assertive communication every day. Say what you think without being aggressive. Express your boundaries without apologizing. Mature women constantly test your consistency. If you give in on small things, they know you'll give in on big ones. Fifth step, diversify your meeting environments. Get out of bars and dating apps. Go to art exhibitions, lectures, workshops, places where deep conversation is possible. Mature women aren't impressed by your ability to order drinks. They want to see your mind in action. Sixth and final step of the protocol, invest in your own journey of self-discovery. Therapy, meditation, journaling, any tool that helps you understand your own patterns. You cannot navigate the depth of an experienced woman if you're still drowning in your own shallow waters. Let me tell you about Pedro, a 30-year-old musician who broke his own rules. He met Sophia, 26, at an art gallery. Young in age, ancient in soul. Sophia had lived alone in 3 countries, overcome a serious illness at 22, and built her career from scratch. Her chronological youth hid a maturity forged in the fire of experience. In bed, she had the uninhibitedness of someone who had already faced death. No taboos, no shame, no need for approval. Pedro learned that maturity isn't a matter of years lived, but of depth achieved. Now I will destroy your objections before you even formulate them. You're thinking this is old man's talk, trying to justify his inability to attract young women. Wrong. Men of any age can and should seek depth instead of superficiality. The question isn't her age. It's your ability to recognize and value emotional maturity. You're thinking that mature women come with too much baggage. Everyone has baggage. The difference is that experienced women have the tools to process theirs. Young women are still accumulating traumas without knowing how to digest them. Do you prefer someone who knows their demons or someone who hasn't even discovered them yet? You think you aren't attractive enough for confident women. This is limiting programming. Mature women value presence, purpose, consistency, and emotional intelligence. If you don't have that, the problem isn't your appearance, it's your substance. Ninth pattern that needs to enter your consciousness: the hormonal release effect. Women in their 40s often experience a second peak of sexual desire. It's not a myth, it's biology. Combine that with the psychological liberation from validation, and you have a perfect storm of sexual intensity. 10th pattern: the mastery of the present moment. Women who have lived long enough understand that the future is uncertain and the past is irrelevant. They inhabit the now with an urgency that young women haven't yet developed. Each encounter is treated as potentially unique, with no guarantees of repetition. I'm going to be brutally clear about what's at stake here. Every day you spend chasing the illusion of youth as a synonym for passion, you lose the chance to experience the real depth of intimacy. It's like drinking soda your whole life, thinking you know taste, while a world of complex wines awaits your palate to evolve. The cost of not applying this knowledge is to continue in relationships where you are the only emotional adult in the room. It's to continue being the entertainer, the validator, the director of a movie, where you also have to be the only actor. It's to live in an infinite sequence of superficialities that leave you empty even when physically satisfied. You have two choices now. Continue in the matrix of superficiality, chasing youth, and wondering why each conquest leaves you emptier. Or awaken to the reality that true wildness is born from liberation, not age. It's born from self-knowledge, not impulsivity. It's born from security, not desperation for validation. The revolution of your intimate life begins the moment you understand that you're looking for gold, where there's only glitter. Young women might shine brighter on the surface, but mature women burn with a fire that doesn't extinguish after the first round. They don't need to fake orgasms because they know exactly how to achieve them. They don't play games because they've already won the championship of self-discovery. Every mature woman you ignore because of your superficial programming is a walking university of pleasure you refuse to attend. Every time you choose the easy validation of impressionable youth, you choose to remain in emotional kindergarten. The price of that choice is measured in decades of intimate mediocrity. I want you to understand a fundamental truth about feminine nature that no one has taught you. A woman's authentic wildness doesn't diminish with age, it refines. Like a single malt that becomes more complex with time, not weaker. What you interpret as a loss of intensity is actually the transformation of uncontrolled fire into directed volcanic lava. Now you know the truth. The question is what you're going to do with it. Will you continue in the infinite cycle of mutual validation with women who haven't yet found themselves? Or will you have the courage to face a woman who knows exactly who she is, what she wants, and isn't afraid to take it? The clock is ticking. Every day that passes, you are choosing between depth and superficiality, between real intensity and empty performance, between a woman who needs your approval and one who chooses you consciously. The wildness you seek isn't in inexperienced youth. It's in liberated maturity. Make your choice now. Share in the comments what your biggest surprise was when dating a more mature woman, or what you noticed changed in your own approach when seeking deeper connections. Your experience helps the community grow and deepen this discussion. The moment of decision is now. mediocrity or depth. You decide.